Meet the Tactician, an intelligent detective with a long history in the military that he is unwilling to talk about. Despite the pain of his past, he seeks to improve the world around him for all of the good people left out there. The Tactician has Strength 2, Perception 4, Endurance 4, Charisma 5, Intelligence 6, Agility 7 and Luck 1. We will only need a Strength of 2 as we aren't a close quarters character and only need one perk from the tree. Perception is at a solid 4. This will give us reasonable accuracy and will be raised to 5 early on thanks to the bobblehead. Endurance is also at 4. This will help to keep us alive if a fight goes wrong. Charisma is relatively high at 5. The Tactician is more charming than he first lets on, and can be persuasive when he needs to be. Intelligence is up at 6. This character is intelligent, and will use his mind to think through combat situations instead of blindly charging in. Agility is our highest stat at 7. This build has sniper elements to it, and having a high agility will help with this significantly. Last of all is a luck of 1. It's our dump stat for this build, as we really won't need it all that much. The essential perks for this build are Rifleman, Gun Nut, Ninja, and Demolition Expert. Rifleman is our damage perk, and helps us to take down enemies faster. The armor piercing effect is also helpful for dealing with some of the tougher named characters who wear high quality armor. Gun Nut is our main modding perk. You'll need your weapons to be in the best shape possible, so grab this perk. Ninja is simply a great perk that makes the majority of our hidden shots one-hit kills. Last in the essential category is Demolition Expert. Although the extra damage and blast radius is great, the main reason we are getting this perk is for shooting our grenades and VATs after throwing them. If you throw a frag grenade at a group of enemies and shoot it at the perfect moment, you will take down the group before they can move away from the explosion. The recommended perks are Armourer, Science, Sneak, Mr. Sandman and Scrounger. Armourer and Science are our 2 other modding perks. These are great to have and help improve all of our different gear. They also can make power armor far more effective, and although I didn't use power armor while playing this build, you can build yourself a suit if you so wish. Sneak obviously helps to keep us hidden. This will grant us more sneak attacks and reduce the amount of times we're being shot at. To add to the stealth of the build, we have the Mr. Sandman perk. This will increase the damage of our sneak attacks when silenced, further adding to our damage output when we are hidden. The Scrounger perk is incredibly helpful for ensuring you don't run low on ammo. It will also help with outfitting your companion with a powerful weapon, and ensuring they don't run low too. The role-playing perks of this build are Aquaboy, Local Leader, Medic, and Quick Hands. Aquaboy will tie into the time the Tactician spent in the military. He was trained to be effective in any terrain, and would have had to do a lot of swimming to get to that stage. The Local Leader perk will make settlements far easier to construct and shows that the Tactician wants to rebuild the Commonwealth. Medic will make Stimpaks and Radaway far more effective and once again ties into the military background. The same is true of the Quick Hands perk. A rapid reload can sometimes be the difference between life and death, so this perk can come in handy too. The Tactician was in the military for many years when he was younger, but rarely ever mentions it. He was in a special forces unit, and his eyes betray some of the horrors that he saw in his time. He was part of a sniper team, a spotter for a very talented young sniper, whose name he was never willing to tell anyone. But whenever he was asked about it, he had to fight back tears and tell them that he wouldn't talk about it at all. Although he left the military, he still seemed to want to protect his country in some way, so he ended up in the police force. He was smart, determined, and passionate to do his very best, which led to him achieving the rank of detective after relatively few years of service. Despite being a hard worker who was dedicated to justice, it seemed that the rest of his department didn't share in his ideals. Several cops were rumoured to be dirty, and the rest were all just lazy. The Tactician was ashamed at how little most of the other detectives did to ensure that criminals were punished, and he grew angry at the others for their lack of motivation to do their jobs. One day, a report landed on his desk about a crime boss who had been shot and killed by a mysterious figure called the Shadow. Although this was a clear breach of the law, he held some admiration for the mystery man. At least he was trying to clear up the streets. The Tactician began researching the man, and found that all of the victims of his shootings were criminals. The man was obviously a vigilante, and normally he would be a thorn in the side of the police, but with how little they were doing, he was barely being noticed. Despite this, the tactician was still able to track the man down and spoke with him, managing to convince him that he wasn't a threat and that he wanted to help. With a few words of persuasion, the two agreed to work together. The tactician would make sure the police kept away from the shadow, and he in return would keep the streets clear of the worst criminals. To add to their retinue, the tactician also advised to get a lawyer he knew to join them. He had always secretly admired the lawyer for her passion and desire to put away criminals, but had only spoken to her on a handful of occasions. When he heard that the shadow had convinced the lawyer to help them, at first he was incredibly happy. He had a chance to get close to her. It didn't take long for him to realise that she only had eyes for the shadow though. Despite his best efforts, he couldn't live up to the other man, and was forced to watch the woman he had fallen for ignore his advances and stare doe-eyed at the man he had introduced into her life. Although he was able to keep his bitterness from their working relationship for a time, he had to leave after they announced they were getting married. He left them with each other and retired from being a detective. He eventually settles down in Sanctuary and does end up getting married. He does love his wife, but never forgets about the lawyer who he fell for, and imagines what life could have been like with her. When he is released from cryosleep, he will have lost two loves and feels deep regret and pain, forcing him to revert to his military training to focus his mind and block out his emotions. The tactician will be joining both the Minutemen and the Brotherhood. He seeks out stability and justice in the Wastes, and these factions will help to achieve this. I personally would side with the Minutemen at the end game in order to not have to wipe out the Railroad, but feel free to side more with the Brotherhood of Steel if you are willing to raise the body count a little higher. The companion for this build will be MacCready. He will function as a sniper who you can spot for. This works more for role-playing than as a practical way to fight most fights, but he still makes a decent companion choice with a great perk. I highly recommend kitting him out with a very powerful sniper rifle to use, and you may also wish to give him some decent armour to help keep him alive. The main two weapons of this build will be the Overseer's Guardian and an assault rifle. Both of these will want to be silenced and fully upgraded, but one will want to be modded out as a sniper with a recon scope, and the other as a close to mid-range weapon for dispatching enemies who spot you or get too close. Both these weapons work well for either role, so the choice of which one serves which purpose is up to you. In addition, you will want a large supply of frag grenades. These are critical to wiping out groups of enemies and will stop you from getting overwhelmed. For armour, this character wears a Minutemen outfit with the Overseer's arm guards, Destroyer's legs, Wastelander's chest piece, and a pair of sunglasses. This combination gives us a ton of bonuses that help the character in just about every aspect, making him more versatile than your normal long-range rifleman. I'd advise making all the pieces shadowed in order to further enhance the stealth capabilities of the build, but I'll leave the other mod choices entirely up to you. The Tactician is a mix of a sniper and an intelligent stealth-based rifleman. Keep yourself out of a direct fight and hidden for as long as possible, but if things go south, rapidly take down any enemies with precise and powerful shots. Technically, you will be a spotter for MacCready and will want to tag targets for him, but chances are you will have to take most of them down for yourself. Approach every fight cautiously and think through your actions before making a move. Try to scout out locations if you can and come up with a battle plan for any dangerous situations. Thank you very much for watching this latest build. Please give the video a like if you did enjoy it, and subscribe if you're new here. Let me know in the comments if you're still enjoying the Fallout builds too, as I'm currently working out how many more I will do before I stop. Obviously, I can't make these builds forever, but I want to make sure there are plenty of builds on the channel for all of you, so let me know what sort of a balance you would like.